Good afternoon, and it's not just the case numbers increasing. We're seeing hospitalizations increase too. And while we know that the youth, those cases are going up, the reasons why could be a little bit more complicated. Of course, the athletics and youth sports could be one of the culprits.
Opposing players, referees, ice hockey, traveling teams.
Grosse Pointe Public Schools, like so many other school districts across the state, are seeing case numbers rise in sports and their social circles. Through contact tracing, Grosse Pointe Schools says they've determined teens are catching COVID from socializing, not from class.
They want to get back together. They want to socialize. They want to be normal again. And we may not be ready right now.
It's not just case numbers rising, hospitalizations are too. In Monroe, Washtenaw, and Wayne County, 80% of inpatient beds are occupied and 80% of beds in the ICU. In Macomb, Oakland, and St. Clair, hospital beds are also hovering around the 80% occupancy rate across the board. And who's filling those beds might surprise you. Hospitalizations for COVID patients between 30 and 50 years old have increased by more than 600% since the beginning of the month. Brian Peters, CEO of the Michigan Health and Hospital Association, says this could be a sign that vaccines are working.
The 70 and older population is seeing very minimal increases in positivity rates and hospitalization compared to the younger age cohorts, the ones who have not, for the most part, received their vaccines yet.
While several new, more contagious variants in Michigan could be contributing to the surge.
Michigan has done a better job than just about any other state in the country in terms of sequencing for those variants.
Several factors could be contributing to the surge. COVID fatigue is likely the biggest culprit. With vaccinations increasing, the finish line is just up ahead. But spring break, that's up ahead too.
As soon as we get all Michiganders vaccinated, the sooner we can flatten this curve. There's no question about that.
We want our kids to have a prom and a normal graduation as best we can, but we got to get the numbers down, and we've got to have kids that have safe spring breaks in order to make that happen.
With those case numbers largely within the youth, spring break is a really big concern in Grosse Pointe. They just announced this afternoon that they will continue school virtually for the first week upon returning from spring break. They're hoping that gives just a little bit of a buffer so they can return in person then the second week of April, kind of at ground zero with no more, they're hoping, cases or having people out of school due to quarantine. Reporting live, I'm Jennifer Ann Wilson, 7 Action News.